My guest at this time is a former WWE superstar who recently made her AEW debut, tagging with Nyla Rose as part of the Deadly Draw. It is Ariane Andrew. Ariane, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Did I nail your first name right? Because I blew it when we connected.
You did, but don't feel bad because so many people just, the E is silent, so people butcher it all the time. I get so many different things.
Okay.
You're all good.
Wonderful. Well, you know what? I was so excited to see you pop up in AEW because I remember you were announced WrestleMania weekend for Effie's Big Gay Brunch. And
Yes.
there was a lot of fanfare about this. I know that you returned to wrestling here on AEW, but was the intent for you to kind of reintroduce yourself to wrestling fans during WrestleMania weekend with that show?
Yeah, because when the opportunity came around, I was like, I do miss the ring. And, the LGBTQ is like a part of my community. I have lots of friends. And I was like, you know what? There's no better way than to make an in-ring debut in that community. So that was, my way of getting my feet wet. But of course, Corona hit and it killed everyone's 2020 so far.
Yeah, it was really rough. Well, I was thrilled to see you in there because you're definitely somebody that fans have opinions about one way or another. And I was looking, and I was looking for you to come in here because I love GCW, I love Effie, and I was like, if they're bringing her in, they know something. What has your training been like in pro wrestling over the past couple of years since you've kind of been away from WWE?
So that's the crazy thing because I feel like the response is definitely positive compared to back in the day where literally the wrestling community is ripping me a new asshole. But I actually had not been training at all, except for preparing for the match for Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I was training at Rikishi School.
Okay.
So I decided to take it upon myself to go back to obviously train. Was doing a little bit of that. It was just such a small stint because I had got super busy with everything else I was working on, and then Corona hit. So I had literally not stepped in the ring probably since January, and that was only for a little bit. So it's crazy when people are like, wow, she's improved. I was like, little do people know I had less than a week when everything even happened with AEW.
Really?
So I literally went out with zero training. We didn't get to go over anything except for the finish. So literally it was like, I am praying to Jesus Christ and the universe that I did not fuck this up because I know people are waiting for me to fail. So that's actually the real. And I don't think most people know that because they're like, oh yeah, she's been training. I'm like, no, I haven't because I just stepped back in the ring in January and then coronavirus hit. So it's like I wasn't training.
Wow. And
yeah,
you've really gotten a rough go of it, Ariane. The fans are, I feel, particularly a little, like you said, like they want you to fail, I feel like,
Yeah.
How do you deal with the social media barrage I'm sure you get of haters and detractors from you?
Initially it used to bother me because no one knows, your story, like what you've been through, your life. And because I feel like I wasn't an avid wrestling fan growing up, it just automatically, it's like, you don't deserve to be here. Yeah. But again, you don't know someone's story. And I feel like it's when you're given an opportunity, what you do with it. So initially it used to hurt my feelings because obviously I'm a human and I know I'm a good person. Yeah, my character is a lot, but who I am as a person is a very caring person. Yeah. But now I just don't care because I feel like when you really truly embrace who you are and love the skin you're in, you're never going to please everybody. And when you decide to put your life in the entertainment world, you just have to know that there's going to be people who have something to say, and you just have to be okay with that. I feel like as long as you know what you're doing behind the scenes, your family loves you, your friends love you, and the people close to you, know who you are, you're never going to please everybody. So you just got to be like, let me take it. Let me take all the hate. Let me take all the love. Because sometimes hate is not, people are telling you things that you could work on, which you could be like, maybe I could do this better. I think it's just about how people say stuff. That's the hurtful thing. Because it's like, ooh, that's a bit much. How would you feel if I said that about you? And people don't realize that being in the ring and, slamming your body against wood for someone's entertainment, I'm like, you take your motherfucking ass out there and you go do it. And then you let me know how your body's feeling. Okay. So thank you. Don't come for me unless I call for you.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, it's like, Brandy Rhodes got off Twitter here this past week and stuff like that, and you just like power through it. I think it's really admirable what you're doing here, and I was really again like happy to see you show up and put out there on AEW Dark, or as part of the Deadly Draw. I guess it's not AEW Dark. How did this come together? How did you come into AEW? How did this come about?
Brandy actually reached out to me, and like I said, it was super last minute. At the time, I was visiting my boyfriend in Phoenix. So I was like, okay, I got to get back to LA. Corona is happening. So I have to like get back. I have no gear. I'm like, my weave is falling off. I haven't gotten my weave done. And I almost said no because I felt like I wasn't prepared. And again, like, I'm like, out of all the projects I do, wrestling scares me the most because I know I didn't have much training. And I know how particular fans are, and I just wanted to make sure that I succeeded. So I was like, I just need more time. But I was like, in life, when things happen, when are you ever really prepared? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there, and regardless of what happens, regardless of what people think, I'm doing something for me. It's not for fans. It's not for management team and what they think. I'm doing it for myself because I really truly do have a passion for the ring, and I missed it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this never happens again. And I never want to look back at life and regret it, no matter what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah, man. And, with your, talk to me real quick about Brandy, because I know you two go back quite a ways, right? You two trained early on in WWE. Is that right?
No, not really. I mean, because FCW was kind of like in the transition at the time, right? As I got called up on the road.
Yeah.
So she was like, we would practice, but she was more of the ring announcer. And so, yeah, we really never got a chance. I don't think I ever even worked with Brandy at all, like in the ring.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, she's always a super sweet girl, and I'm very happy to see like what she's doing. We were never like super close. I just think like, the opportunity was there. She was like, you know what, I'm going to reach out. Oh, I will say this. Back in August, I did reach out to her saying, hey, putting it out there, if you ever need me or if there's ever room for us to work together, hit me up. Sure. So then, a week before, she was like, hey, girl, remember I told you I would keep you in mind? And then here we are.
Nice. Well, how was it working with Nyla Rose, your tag team partner? You guys have gotten to tell a fun little story, I think, in a short period of time.
She's amazing. Actually, everybody in like the AEW world is super welcoming, which another thing I was scared about because I was like, how are people gonna feel with me being here? And it was just a completely different environment of what I was used to. So to be able to work with her, I think was super cool because she is a top person in the division, and I think it was very fitting for her storyline of what she represents as being in that beast mode. And kind of at first I was like, wow, that's going to be a very interesting dynamic. I'm very sassy, and that's my character. She's very like, I'm going to fuck a bitch up. So I was like, I wonder how this is going to play out, but it worked out like how it was supposed to work out. I think it worked out good.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you feel good in the ring? Like actually wrestling. I love this. I love the split kick that you delivered. I thought that was a really unique bit of offense that you got in there.
Thank you. I was ready to shit my pants. I'm not gonna lie. Like the whole day, like I already suffer from anxiety, so I feel like my anxiety was on a 1,000% because I actually, if I'm being real, I felt like I wasn't comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, like I mean, but I guess because where my biggest strength is, I know where my strengths are, I know where my weakness is entertaining. So I feel like when it comes to like in being in the ring, it's like, okay, am I delivering this right? Am I, I'm still in my head about that's what made me feel uncomfortable. And just for being away for 4 years and never having a match. So it was that, like, that was what scared me. And again, like wanting to deliver and not get ridiculed. But then I feel like what helps me get through it is then when I turn on my charisma and the time, using that moment to shine, because
Yeah.
that's where my strengths are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up earlier how it was very different than what you'd been with before. How is the AEW environment different than the one over at WWE that you were in?
I think in WWE it's more of a competitive environment, where at the end of the day, like, still there's only a few spots, but I feel like with AEW it's more of a, how do we work together to make sure we put on the best show, and it's not about who's here or who's here. It's like, how does everyone help elevate, because even if you're starting, at the very bottom, you still need someone to be like, hey, let me build you up, because this is how it works, like,
Yeah.
it's not like, for instance, when I used to do track and field where it's you against you. It's like, this is a team effort, because if we don't work as a team, then how do we put on a show if people are on different pages? And what I really do like is, because I've always been a huge advocate for equality and stuff like that. So to see someone like a Nyla Rose, who, in her position, to be able to have that spot as a top person, like, if you would have said that years ago, that would have been like, no. And I haven't really seen that development quite yet in the WWE. Not to say that that's never going to happen, but I feel like AEW has a little bit more of a broader scope, like, even with the owner doing Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. And yes, it's going to be controversial, but I think it's also evolving with where the times are, because there's always going to be different chapters of life, and you have to be willing to evolve. And even if you don't agree, just to be able to hear to understand instead of listening to respond.
Gotcha. Yeah. And with you, you made a lot of noise for the company. I think a lot of people were talking and buzzing about you. I mean, what's the future look like for you at AEW? Are you going to be back, or do you think a one-off for you for right now?
I never like to close any door. Obviously, I miss my sister from another mister, Trin, and I felt like we definitely had unfinished business. And I mean, I didn't even realize until what was it, last week, when my co-host, when she came on sipping the tea for the 100th episode, was like,
Right.
you guys made history. And we were like, how? Because we were the first African American tag team to ever form. And I was like, I never even thought about that. And that was great. But to have like the tag titles and be like the first Black women to represent that, I feel like that would be awesome. But on the flip side, if I'm going to leave it open, wherever I feel like I'm meant to be in my home is where I'm going to be. I'm not going to force anything. And I feel like the universe will always align you to where you need to be in life.
Yeah, and you bring that up there. Yeah, Naomi, recently on your 100th episode of the Sippin' the Tea TV show podcast of yours, what was it like getting to reconnect with her recently?
I mean, we do catch up, but obviously, like with life, I have a million things I'm working on. She's, like, she's doing her thing. And it was so good, because what I loved about it is just we got to be ourselves. We didn't edit anything. We're keeping everything as is. I mean, we do that with every episode, unless it's like, a technical difficulty or something was just completely left and it was like, oh, okay, we're going to cut that. Sure. But for, it was just us being us, like us sharing the moment of crying and us just, having a kumbaya. It was super nice to have her on, and it means the most, obviously, because that was our 100th episode. So to be able to have, my sister from another mister on, it was a really good week. I mean, to obviously have the AEW debut, and then, next day, the 100th episode with Naomi, it was great.
What did you think of the hashtag Naomi deserves better trend that came up on social media recently?
I thought it was phenomenal, just because, I know Naomi has never really gotten the opportunity that she should. She's such a great role model. She's non-problematic. I mean, her personality, she gets along with everyone, and she's fucking talented. So I thought it was great, considering, how passionate wrestling fans are, to be able to take that stance and to say, this is what I think needs to be done. That's major, because the internet can make your life, or it can also break your life. You know what I mean? So I feel like it was so great to see the overwhelming support for her, because I'm like, she's been there for such a long time. And no matter if that means the WWE looked at it or not, at least I feel like it's a good feeling for her to be like, I know I'm doing something right, because you can second guess yourself, especially when you are getting, stuff from fans who are saying mean stuff. And then you feel like you're not getting the opportunity that you want. So at least I feel like it was a good validation that like I'm on the right path. And no matter what happens, I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah, and she's been such a big part of the women's revolution they've had here over the past few years, and that's something I think about when I think about you is you left right just as this women's revolution thing was kind of getting kicked off and started moving here. What's it been like for you watching it play out? What WWE's been doing with the women the past couple of years and not being able to be a part of that?
I like to look at my life like there's no regrets. So because it's unfortunate that I wasn't a part of it. But regardless, it was nice to be able to see how far women have been able to come than just having some bikinis on with their ass out,
Yeah.
Of course, does that sell? Sex will always sell. But I think it's great when you're able to put sex with like, I'm a badass bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Put the two together and show that like women are more than just a sex symbol, that, you can have beauty, you can have brains, you can have it all. Why not? Why, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's been amazing to watch, the women, be main events and take it to the next level. So even though I wasn't a part of it, it's great to watch from afar, because who says that I can't continue making an impact now? Because again, timing is everything. And at that time, it wasn't the time. The timing wasn't right.
Yeah, and have you talked with WWE since then? Is there any buzz about you possibly returning and reconnecting with Naomi?
So do you think I'm going to sit there and tell you that on this interview? You think I was going to spill the tea? We're just going to keep it as, like what I said earlier, wherever my home is meant to be, that's where you'll see me.
Okay. I would just be a bad journalist if I didn't ask that.
Of course. You got to pry. You got to pry. Only thing that I ask is that you don't do clickbait that makes me look like shit, because I know people will take the smallest thing and like bend the truth. So I just hope that you don't do me like that.
Yeah, no, I won't. But I do kind of like the idea of a headline that says, don't make clickbait out of my shit. That's kind of a good headline in of itself. I don't know why, but I feel like that would do really, really well. No, we would never do that to you. Of course not. Well, while I have you here, you're an entrepreneur outside of pro wrestling. I was given like a list of all of the projects that you were doing right now. Talk to me a little bit about this other work that you're doing. Obviously, you have your podcast, but AA Academy and Label My Keys, which is launching this week. What are these other projects that you're working on?
So, because I have the platform, I do consider myself a queen of all trades. Being in the ring and entertaining, and you can quote unquote wrestler, that, is obviously where my journey began. But after I was done with all that, I've always had a passion for fitness. So I do have a fitness app called AA Academy, which is on Google and Apple Play, which is pretty much not only transforming people's lives physically, but mentally, because I think people forget how mental health is so important. Yeah. And even right now, with like the pandemic happening, I offer free workouts. So you can get like 3 workouts before you decide that you want to make the commitment to the app. And it's, it's considered a tribe. To me, entrepreneurship is about making an impact and helping people. I've always been about entertainment's great, but I never want to leave this earth saying, did I not give back? Did I not do enough to use my influence to help build and support? So I have that. I co-wrote, executive produced, and starred in a short film called Jaded Pictures.
Yeah. And
that also ties in with mental health, about how we are so quick to compare our lives on social media, but you don't really know what's going on. And the saying is, when you live for the camera, you die behind the scenes. So we won 3 awards with that. And we're in talks right now to turn it into a TV series. So that's super exciting. I have Sip in the Tea. Our 100th episode just happened. That's a television show and a podcast. I have a podcast with my boyfriend where we discuss interracial dating, marriage, kids, what is happening with coronavirus, like everything that people ever would want to think, personal development, finances. We put all of that. That's called Escape with AJ.
Yeah.
And then I have our business Label My Keys, which is launching this week, where it's pretty much a customized keychain where, like, say for instance, you ever lose your keys, not if we label them. And that all happened because I was hiking one day, and it's happened 3 times where someone's like, I've lost my keys. And I've picked it up and I was like, well, what if someone, like, do they have a phone number? And that's how that was created. And that launches this week. So
that's so cool. And you know, that's the thing is, like, it's so important, I feel like, for not just wrestlers but all entertainers to have these other side projects, right, to show that kind of entrepreneurial spirit and give yourself a padding to kind of go back to after, you know, the ring is done and all that. So just awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem, Ariane.
I
Well,
appreciate it.
well, with that, is there anything else that you want to plug, promote, put over here before we wrap up our interview today?
Yeah, you guys can just follow me across the board at Ariane Andrew, and everything is on my website. That if you want to listen to the podcast, if you want to leave a comment, if you also have a blog, you know, come and talk to me, even if it's, you know, as long as it's constructive. I'm always all ears. But you need an autograph, I do that. I'm all about just like, how can I help you? How can I be a positive influence? Whether you love me or hate me, I just want people to know that's what I feel like my whole I guess life vision is to be an impact as much as possible. So
Very cool.
that's
All right.
it.
We'll wrap it up.
And to everybody, girl, bye.